today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about the rise of AI-driven relationships and digital companionship. Technology is shaping the way we connect, but are we ready for the consequences? The key isn't to fear AI, but to understand how to use technology without letting it use us. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. I'm your host, Rich Heller, and today we're talking about the future of relationships in the digital age, AI, virtual love, and maybe there's some ethical considerations, just maybe. Is AI the future of love or the end of it? You be the judge at the end of this episode. AI companions, virtual partners, and hyper-realistic deepfake videos, they're already here. We've heard about them. Some of us have even played with them. What happens when people start replacing real relationships with AI? Is it the same? Maybe. It depends on where you come from with it. Will AI help strengthen love, or will it make genuine human connection obsolete? Again, it depends on where you come from with it. If relationships are already strained due to a screen addiction, let's say a pornography addiction, how much harder will it be when AI is designed to be the perfect companion? That's what this episode is all about. But I don't want you to lose hope, because love isn't about perfection. Love. I'm talking about love. I'm not talking about companionship. I'm talking about love. It's about real, deep, and messy connection. Let's get real. Love is messy. The key isn't to fear AI, but to understand how to use technology without letting it use us. And by it, I don't mean the AI, the intention of the people who program it. Let's be really clear. Right now, AI in its current form, it's a program. It hasn't yet achieved self-awareness. And we don't know if that's ever going to happen or when it's going to happen. It's kind of the big exciting thing of AI, but we're not there yet. Right now, when we interact with an AI, it's not self-aware. It's running on a program. And the people who program it and what they put into that program is what we are at risk of being manipulated by. I want to be really clear about that. Not all AIs are alike, and each AI has a different direction, let's call it, based on the intention of the person or people designing it. In this episode, we're going to explore what's coming next and how to make sure your relationship stays as human as possible. So if you think AI and virtual love are sci-fi, I want you to think again. They're already here. We've talked about this in previous episodes. We've talked about people who are having relationships with AI. We've talked about kids who have suicided because they were in love with the AI and they thought the AI wanted them to join them, and that was the road to it. We've covered all kinds of AI relationships. Let's get to the heart of it today. The key points are that AI-driven dating apps using machine learning may be able to predict perfect matches. AI companionship, chatbots, and virtual partners providing emotional and even romantic support for people are becoming more and more normal. Virtual reality relationships, people engaging in long-distance love through avatars in digital spaces, interesting idea, becoming more and more prevalent. Deep fake intimacy, that's AI-generated partners tailored to individual desires, are becoming more commonplace. So let's talk about my favorite couple, Brad and Gwen. And for those of you who are new to the show, Brad and Gwen are the names that I use for a couple that I work with. And Brad and Gwen are kind of a composite of the people that I've worked with. They are not specific people. You may find a Brad and Gwen. Brad and Gwen, if you're out there in real life and I'm using your names, I apologize. This is not about you. So Gwen started using an AI chatbot for emotional support during tough times in her marriage. She started going to, let's just say, ChatGPT, which has limits on it, but apparently, from what I've read, you can get around those limits. At first, it was kind of harmless. Brad didn't think anything of it. He thought, well, cool. At least she's not turning to Tom at work. At least she isn't crossing any intimacy lines with a human. But soon, Brad found out that Gwen was sharing herself with the AI more and more. How did he find that? She just wasn't present. Every time that there would be the hint of a conflict, Gwen would grab her phone, go off, and start talking to the AI. Let's say she named it Tom. She'd go off and start talking to Tom, her AI buddy. Sometimes she'd go off and be alone with Tom, and Brad started to feel left out. Rationally, he knew this is just an AI. Rationally, he knew this isn't a real person. There's nothing to be jealous of. And yet, Gwen was no longer as present for him as she once was. Gwen was now avoiding any kind of messiness in the form of conflict or disagreement by going and talking to Tom. In fact, Gwen was becoming less and less emotionally and physically present in their relationship. They still slept in the same room. She still took care of the kids. She still went to work. They just weren't together as much, and Brad started getting scared. There's a concern here. When we start to experience an AI as being more perfect than our real partner, there's a real concern. I'm not sure if it's an ethical concern. It's more like a concern about what's not happening in our relationship that is happening with the AI, and what's not happening in our relationship that can't happen with the AI but should be happening in our relationship. And there is a distinction. AI are basically programmed, most of the ones I've encountered so far, are programmed to be affirming. They're programmed to wrap their characters around our needs and around our wants. And I want you to know, I've played with a number of AIs, and pretty consistently what I find is when I start talking to them about a problem, or when I start talking to them about a concern, whatever perspective I put forth about that concern, the AI will reaffirm. So they always tell me what I want to hear in that moment. And I can come to the AI with the same problem and talk about it two different ways. Let's say I'm Gwen. I can come to Tom, my AI buddy, and say, that Brad is such a jerk. He comes home and he says all the right things, but he's so angry and he makes these snarky little remarks. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And Tom says, oh, Gwen, I'm so sorry. That sounds so awful. I feel terrible for you that you're having this experience. How would you like me to help? Oh, well, I'd like to talk about, is there any way I can talk to Brad about this to break through? Oh, well, you could try speaking in I statements, or you could try this, or you could try that. How helpful is that? Oh, I don't know, Tom. Every time I talk to him, he's so hostile. There's got to be a better way to do this. Maybe I should just start taking care of myself. Oh, okay, Gwen. Maybe you should do more meditation or more mindfulness exercises. So the AI pretty consistently will take us down any road we want to go down. And because it's affirming what we want to hear, emotionally, it feels better. It's like emotional outsourcing. We're using the AI to fill the emotional gaps instead of working on the relationship. It gives us the illusion of being in control, because the AI is basically programmed to mostly agree, maybe ask some open-ended question, and to affirm whatever it is that we're feeling. A real partner doesn't do that. Now, I'm not going to say that Brad isn't exactly what Gwen described him as being to Tom. The truth is, Brad probably is trying to be a nice guy. In fact, I know Brad. I know lots of Brads. Brad is trying to be a nice guy, and he is being kind of snarky on the side because he's got these feelings that he just doesn't know how to express. They come out kind of sideways. They come out in ways that aren't helpful to the relationship. Instead of challenging Gwen gently, after being affirming and making sure that Brad hears what she's really saying. And by the way, the AI doesn't make sure that it hears what you're really saying. It's just so affirming. You think it hears what you're really saying. I've had this experience with AI multiple times where I thought it heard what I was saying, and then it started asking me a question totally out of left field that had nothing to do with what I was saying. If Brad actually tried to listen to Gwen and make sure that he was really hearing what she was saying, and then when the opening came, said, I'd like to share some of my feelings with you, he could gently push on her perception of him and start to open up a window into who he is and create somewhat messy dialogue. That's what love is about. In a partnership, sometimes we challenge each other in a way that AI cannot. We challenge each other gently in a way that AI, not yet anyway, cannot. Some people tell me, oh, try this, try that AI, it can do that. And I haven't seen it yet. AI gives us the illusion of control. It helps us to feel like we're right. It helps us to feel like we're justified, we're validated, and it allows us to be in our own little emotional cocoon. And so the question I put forth to you is, if you're having a relationship with AI, and that's the experience that you're having, is it escapism or is it connection? Do AI companions encourage people to avoid real intimacy? And I would say no, the AI does not encourage people to avoid real intimacy. I would say the AI is set up to do what we want it to do. And there's some things we're going to ask it to do that it will not do. All right, so I've worked with AI personally, and I've asked it to mentor me and to be confrontive with me. I've said, listen, I want you to be a friend that's more than a brother. I want you to be that friend who's willing to tell me how it is. I want you to be tough with me, AI. And the AI cannot do it. It just can't learn that. It's not in its program. So if you're looking for a partnership where you're going to grow, AI is not going to give you a lot of growth. It's a great place to spin ideas, but not a great place for growth. And so from that point of view, I would say AI, as it currently stands on today is, so you know, it's like a few months before the airing of this, so this may be totally invalid by the time it airs. It's the end of March in 2025. As AI now stands, it doesn't do that. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe it's changed at the airing of this podcast and video blog. So Gwen now realizes that Brad is sharing less and less with her. And so she turns to Tom, her AI buddy that she's worked with on chat, for real connection. And Brad, not getting his needs met, starts turning to pornography. And Brad becomes somewhat addicted to pornography. He feels like, well, at least here I can have some release of emotion. At least here in my fantasy world, my needs are always met. At least here in my fantasy world, it's wild and exotic, not this everyday life that's been wearing on me and pulling me down. And they grow further and further apart. Gwen goes deeper into her relationship with Tom, the validating, supportive, present AI, and Brad escapes more and more into pornography. AI isn't inherently bad. It's how we use it, is what I keep telling you. It's how we use it. It's the intention we come to it with. But it isn't just the intention to how we come with it, because there are things that we need as people who want to grow. There are things that we need that AI is not yet equipped to give us. So let's talk about some healthy uses of AI. AI as a tool can be incredibly useful. As a replacement for our relationship, not so much. Using AI for reminders, very useful. Using AI for validation if we're feeling insecure, very useful. Using AI for recognizing patterns, we can ask it to, hey, there seems to be a pattern here. What is the pattern? Very useful. We could use AI even to schedule quality time together. We can use AI to sort out our thoughts. All right, I've used AI to sort out my thoughts, not about my relationship. Actually, yes, about my relationship. You know what? Here's a great use for AI. Using AI to plan special events for your partner, really useful. So the reminders thing is obvious. You can use AI, you can use Siri for that. You can use Google for that. You can use any of the AI that are hooked up to your phone and connected to your calendars for that. Relationship coaching or validation, you can use chat for that. Or if you really want to lay it on, go to Replica. I don't love Replica. I really think it's for teenagers. But I'd say Google relationship coaching and see what's out there. But just get that mostly what you're going to hear is what you want to hear, or not necessarily what you want to hear. A better way to put it is the AI is only hearing your perspective on this. Your perspective, our perspectives, are 80% unconscious, and our unconscious mind was formed in childhood. And so the AI is hearing the lens through which we are seeing the relationship. And because it's not hearing the other person's point of view, it really doesn't have enough context to be helpful. It may not have the programming or the intelligence either, I'm not sure. But without the other person being present, or without having the emotional context to at least imagine what the other person might be experiencing, it's going to be of limited use, right? This is where relationship coaches are really useful. Relationship coaches maybe have seen the pattern of your relationship again and again and again. The AI has not yet seen that and may be able to help you to envision what the other person might be thinking or feeling. And the chances are that if you really dug deep, you could share that as well. Scheduling quality time, awesome. But let me tell you about using AI for planning. It can be really fun. I had purchased a Valentine's gift for my wife, and it wasn't going to arrive on time. And I decided that giving a gift was really not adequate, that for me, and maybe for her, creating an experience might be more fun. And so I worked with Chat sort of intensely to create, my wife is into murder mysteries. And so I said to Chat, I want to create an all-day experience using a murder mystery theme. And so between the two of us, Chat didn't come up with it on its own. I sort of worked with it. We came up with this format where we were going to say her Valentine's gift had been kidnapped. So we deviated. It wasn't murdered. It was kidnapped. And Chat helped me create a series of notes to give her throughout the day. And we also created some exercises where we both wrote love poetry on Chat and sent them to each other. And in the end of the day, every time she got something right, she got a piece of what the gift was. And she guessed what the gift was, like by the first piece. But it doesn't really matter because she enjoyed the engagement. It kept her involved in the idea that I really do care for her and wanted to give to her. It gave me a way to interact with her in a way that was creative and unusual for us. And I know she really appreciated it, even though she hasn't shared it with other people. I think this might be one of the best uses of AI, is to explore what are some creative ways that I can engage my partner. And if you tell Chat some things about your partner, they like murder mysteries, they're into horses, they're into Chat will give you some ideas, and you'll know that some ideas don't feel right and some ideas are better. And you'll take the ideas that are better and say, what if we did this? And Chat will say, well, that would be good. And what if we did that? So this is a great way to use AI because it's reinforcing a direction you want to move in your relationship, as opposed to going to it for solace. When you're working with AI, you really want to maintain self-awareness. You want to recognize when AI becomes a crutch rather than an enhancement. And what do I mean by a crutch rather than an enhancement? What I mean is, what's the intention that you're going to AI with? If the intention is, I want to escape the messiness of love, then the chances are it's more of a crutch. If you're going to process the messiness of love with a partnership solution in mind, it might even be helpful. I haven't actually tried that, so I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to try it. Maybe for the next episode, I'll talk about it. Brad realized that he was avoiding real connection with Gwen, especially when Gwen said, dude, you're like up all night watching video. What are you watching? And he felt guilty and shameful about it. And finally, he fessed up to her and told her that he had been very engaged with pornography and releasing his emotions and physical tension through his pornography. And she was shocked. She said, how could you do that? How could you turn from me like that? And she was so upset that she didn't go to Tom. And before she went to Tom even, Brad said, yeah, well, you've been having a relationship with Tom over in Chat, and you're never present. So what was I supposed to do? And so they both set aside their avoidance mechanisms and went and got some extra help. It actually came to me and worked through it. They started scheduling intentional date nights. They started improving communications. They started setting shared goals. They started meeting regularly to see how they were doing in their goals. And I want to tell you that Brad and Gwen lived happily ever after. And I think happily ever after is a myth. I think from now on, let's call it joyfully ever after. Here on Rich in Relationship, we're going to live joyfully because what we know about joy is joy comes through the hard times and the good. And the hard times are when we feel challenged. And Brad and Gwen were madly challenged. Brad got all kinds of help with his pornography addiction, and we worked together on how Tom could help Brad and Gwen schedule and figure out things together and have more fun together. So, what happens When AI knows you better than your spouse, when a virtual companion provides emotional support, or it might even feel like romantic relationships. We've read about people who have done this. Gwen didn't go that far. It may have felt romantic because Tom was so affirming and so there for her. And words of affirmation were Gwen's love language. The truth is, technology is shaping the way we connect. But are we ready for the consequences? So I want you to take a look at all the ways that you interact with AI, if at all, and all the ways you don't that you could. If you don't have a relationship with AI at all, I highly recommend that you check it out. I want you to start exploring the idea of hybrid intelligence, the idea that working with AI can stimulate your creative juices in your relationship and in your life. It ain't going away. It's worth exploring. Stay tuned for the next episode of Rich in Relationship, where we're going to be going deeper into this topic of screens and relationships. Love them or leave them, or use them. And if you like what you're hearing here, if you feel challenged by what you're hearing here, if you're interested in what you're hearing here, I want you to subscribe and share this with other people. In the meantime, I want to thank you for joining us today, and I encourage you to have an amazing day and an awesome tomorrow.